Welcome to Doug's Open Mic, a podcast spotlighting local musicians, bands, and songwriters.
Greetings, everybody. This is Doug's Open Mic. This is episode number 2, which is really a continuation of episode number 1. So we'll call it, but we're still going to call it episode number 2. With me again, we have Ben Barber, who's our technical guy. Also,
you can just call me the producer. That's fine.
The producer? Oh, the producer. All right, producer, you are, and also known, to throw in his little comments and questions, which we welcome. They're always good. Mm-hmm. And we have Gene Parise, which is a longtime Wesley musician here, and we've been talking about music stuff. That's what we talk about. And so for those people that are just tuning in, and I'll just give you a general what this podcast is about. It's acoustical music, basically. The Wesley music scene, songwriters, technical stuff, guitar stuff, amplifier stuff, and making the sausage, how music is made. That's what we do. So last time we were talking to Gene, and we went kind of through his early years and his middle years, and now we're up to where he's at now. So let's talk about what we didn't get into too much, though we did touch upon it a little, is the Perks Open Mic.
Okay.
Super deal. When I was first starting out, open mics are the ideal transition places from the couch to regular gigs. Mm-hmm. You can go out there, and open mics, people are, especially Perks, are very forgiving. If you make a few mistakes or whatever, no one's gonna say anything, and you have somebody like Gene who's there to set up all the sound stuff. You don't have to worry about that. You only have to do a few songs, so you don't have to have a whole mess of stuff. Just learn 1 or 2 songs, kind of good, and just do it. And you know what? The first couple are gonna be awful. You're gonna hate them. Yeah. But you're gonna be nervous, and you're gonna think you suck, but you just gotta go through it, and you'll be surprised. You do 1 or 2 or 3, and all of a sudden you go, I can do this. And then the other thing is you start meeting people, and one of the best ways to get better is like you can play on your couch all you want, and you can get technical skills. But when I started to get better, I think it was playing around with people in jams. I used to drive up for bluegrass, jams on a Saturday afternoon, and even if you just sit in the back and just play chords and stuff, you meet people and you start playing, and that's how you get better. Some people can practice a lot. It's not me. But if I know, back when I was,
me too.
but if it was like on a Friday, and I was said, I'm going to go to Perks Open Mic on Monday. I would practice on Saturday and Sunday because I knew I was playing, and that, to me, that was it. And then you meet people, and then maybe you go to a party and you play there, and then you go there, and the next thing you know, you things are great.
When was your first open mic? Was open mic how you started playing out live?
Actually, started playing out live with Wheelhouse, with Amy and Carl. And the deeper my relationship with Perks, they moved to their current location, which I think was in 2010, which was an expansion. And shortly after moving there, they used to have live music, I said every night at that point on a Monday night, and they stopped it on Tuesday. And Monday night was a slow night too. And Brian approached me about, do you want to do an open mic? That idea came up. So that's the first thing I did for Perks, and I started the open mic, and it exploded. We would start, and amazingly, up to 5 minutes to 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd have a last musician up there, and it could barely fit everybody in. It was that intense that it was packed week after week after week with a lot of these young musicians I mentioned in the prior podcast that became seminal. So many of them are key figures, with music locally now. To watch them mature and grow is just amazing. And then a few years after that, Brian asked if I could take over managing all the music for Perks. And what managing it means is I handle all email correspondence coming through, and I filter it because a lot of musicians write. I monitor the website and do the calendar. I do the Facebook promotions for all the music and the bands, and I hire all the musicians. So all new inquiries and contacts come to me. I got to listen to them. I got to filter who's worthy of it, who isn't worthy, and that's what I do. So I manage the music throughout the week and all the bookings and all the promotion, and I also then run the open mic. So that as far as me booking and managing the music there, that probably goes back about 6 years. So open mic about 8 years ago, and I've been managing the entire music scene there about 6 years now.
Do you find that enjoyable?
I was really, as with anything, you have to adjust, and I'm in an adjustment phase now, but found it very enjoyable. I had a lot of time. You would find me there every time. I often felt strongly as the person booking the music and getting someone to come there to play that I should support them, because pay is not great anywhere, as Doug was saying. So I would show up, help them out, answer any questions, make sure everything was okay, help them adjust their sound, greet them, say hello. Sometimes as a touring musician we've never met. And I think showing that personal one-on-one relationship and support with the musicians was really important. It's hard to continue to do that with such intensity, so I don't have the same amount of time in recent years to do that with every single night. So.
And Perks just recently in the last couple of years, just got their own house system, right?
Yes, right. So that is a tremendous aid because it's easy to get in right at the front door. A band comes in, there's 2 installed PA speakers and a powered PA, what we call a mixing head. So we have our own PA system.
So Gene mentioned the thing that he's the screener of the musicians. So over the years, Gene and I have had conversations. It's interesting how, like anything else, there's a lot. There's some musicians that are, it's like, hey, can you help me out? I could use a gig. It's like, and there's other musicians that they just feel entitled. It's like, it's like, well, hey, I'm good. I want to be booked once a month. Let's go.
I have a sociological comment on that. We get wrapped up in and we love musicians, and I was probably more wide-eyed then, as I've learned a lot. And as with anything in our society, musicians are the same slice of life, and there are many, many that, like you said, Doug, can be very difficult, and then there are others that are just wonderful to work with, And it's the difficult ones that just can wear you out, Sometimes people want to play there, and I respond to every inquiry that comes in. So imagine the numbers that people that write. They send me their links. I look at their music. I really try to hopefully have some video clip of them performing live, because performing in a live, busy place like that is different than showing me a recording you did produced. Yep. You see the difference? I want to see you with an audience. What do you sound like in the live moment? Because the entertainment part is important there. You don't want to drive customers away.
Yep. And having Perks on your resume is big. I mean, when I was starting out and I was able to get and again, it was very early with Perks openings. I was lucky enough to get. I probably couldn't get in Perks these days, And once I got Perks, whenever I was looking for other gigs, that was like, hey. I play at Perks.
Yeah, the most interesting point I try to convey is when I have to tell a musician, I never ever say personally to them, this is weak, that's weak. I basically tell them, keep doing what you're doing. I like what you sent me, but you are not the right fit for the demographic and the audience we have.
Yep.
Just accept that. That's where I run into difficulty sometimes with some people. And I always used to say, 100 of you want to play there, but there's only 20 spots each month, and my role is to find the best quality 20 times a month every month. I owe it to the place of business. That's my responsibility. So to try to get some to understand that, try other places to play. Why do everybody have to play at Perks? And don't be offended if you don't work out and you don't fit here. Yeah. So
What types of things would you say, or is there like a list of things that get acts booked consistently? Is it draw? Is it talent? Is it
consistently, meaning that they perform
persistence?
Regularly, like every month or two.
Yeah, like regularly.
Like Mark Barato's there every month.
Right. Yeah. Something like that. Is it
quality?
Quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any is like draw considered, or or just
I'm a little contrary.
Persistence.
Yeah, I'm contrary on this one. Back in the day when Doug was talking about what music was like in nightclubs, in the 60s and 70s and 80s, the band was central because music was so core of what you heard on the radio. And you went to a nightclub and saw this band, and the band had a following. I honestly can say to you that for the hundreds and hundreds of musicians and bands locally, it's very few that have a consistent following. One of the ones locally, they're just prodigious musicians, and you probably have heard of them, is Sunday Gravy.
Yep.
Always. That's a rarity today. I believe that clubs, when they offer music, should not hire the band with the expectation that the band is going to bring in business. A lot of club owners still have that mindset. They don't have a busy night. They think it's the band. I look at it the reverse way. You're a club. You put music in as an additional benefit for your customers, but you can't bank on the band bringing them in.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Totally, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
Thanks,
yeah.
Thanks for clearing that out. And I agree.
In a nutshell, let's put it this way: if lost my thought, Ben. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right.
All right.
Doug, you have a whole like mind map over there. What else do we have to cover?
Oh, we got all sorts of stuff. We have all sorts. I mean, and for upcoming shows, I started talking to some of my friends and stuff like that. I got so many people want to be on, and so many subjects to talk about. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I have an interesting thought, Doug. The question would be, where do you think we're headed now? What's the next thing in music?
The next thing in music?
Oh, man.
Westerly.
Westerly?
What do we foresee,
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
It is a good question.
I think...
I don't know if I see anything momentally changing. I'd just be happy if everything just kind of stayed on the arc it's been.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention that I do see and I supported heavily, was there constantly, the Knickerbocker Cafe. And I used to be very dismayed, and don't take this wrong, how so much of our local population was totally apathetic to that nightclub. And there was a period that I didn't think they were going to make it.
Yeah.
And that was backroom conversation, but they are really starting to hit some stride and having some great shows. And what a tremendous thing to the town of Wesley if that place begins to boom and they begin to bring people in from all over to see special shows. And that's starting to happen. So that's a great thing. Yeah.
I have seen some great stuff.
Yeah.
Because what the Knickerbocker has is you have these great groups that are, what do I want to call
big
them?
stage where you can have a big performance.
Big stage, and they're not the Rolling Stones, but they. I'll give you an example. Commander Cody.
Yeah.
I saw Commander Cody at the Knickerbocker, and again, I'm sure he had a show in New York City, and he had a show in Boston, and he put New York City on Saturday night, and it was like, hey, halfway. Westerly, and so I saw Commander Cody at the Knickerbocker for like $80, and I remember talking to someone, go, $80 for the. I said it was Commander Cody. I was like 15 feet away from him.
Yeah.
You could go see him, and the Mohegan, and you're going to pay $150. You're going to be
Right.
100 yards away from him.
Right.
And it was spectacular.
It is, yeah.
We saw John Batiste last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was completely in the round, which is also great because they can change the setup there.
Yes, they can.
You know, so he just had his grand piano and he was in the round, and it was a solo show, and everybody was loving it. Everybody joined in. He had sing-alongs. He had his dad there, and that was a really cool, special moment. It's such an awesome venue, and to have the tap room now attached to it.
One of the things they did that I thought was seminal, they brought in two wonderful young musicians who we all know, Glenn Kensia
Yep.
and Will Evans, to redirect and begin to help. They do the bookings, for the tap room and the Nick, and they're bringing in a mix now that it's no longer just the older crowd for blues, rhythm and blues, but diversity, that is attracting younger Americana audiences and all kinds of genres. And I give them credit for bringing in two young men, to help, redirect and enliven and add youth energy to the Knickerbocker, and that's happening. So
I have a question
Yes.
for Eugene about the future, because you have such tremendous access to all of these young acts, all of the people that have come through the open mic, like you talked about that whole generation. Who is a young artist, a young band or a young group or a young singer-songwriter that you just think that the potential is,
well,
sky's the limit?
currently there's nobody
Are you
new.
raising your hand
I'm
for
raising
you?
my hand.
Good.
Will Houlihan.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say about that is, I'm a little dismayed in that, and I get this way because I feel so passionate about it. I haven't seen that in recent years, anything that stands out. But that core group from 4 or 5 years ago, yes, I have to agree with Doug. Will Houlihan, from the moment I saw him, I took him outside on his first open mic, and I told him, you have, and this happens to me when I would get bands and stuff, what I call it, in quotation marks. What is it? Will, you have it. It is almost undefinable. You can't find the words, but you know it's there. You know there's a gift. You know there's something special and more powerful that musician is doing that you just don't see in everybody else. Will has that gift. He has the it, But since Will, I haven't really, nothing has struck me like he has. Yeah.
Yeah. Has he, I'm sorry that I don't know this, has he released a follow-up to Jack Rabbit Jones yet?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a case of a young man that, would love to survive. His artistic heart is immense. He's one of those people, he's a savant. He draws, he writes, he performs. Incredibly, incredibly artistic to me, a mind-blowing level. As with such intense young artists like that, he would like to live on that, but he can't, so he has to also work too. So
Yeah.
it's a struggle, Yeah. And he doesn't compromise. The really pure ones that have such great gifts as him, he will not play a cover song. He will only play his music. That's hard to do in this day and age, and he holds to it, and you pay a price for that in a funny kind of way, So
Glenn Kensia, who you just spoke of, is one of my favorite songwriters.
Yes, amazing,
period.
amazing. Yes.
With anybody, like not locally, like with anybody, he's
tremendous
one of my
songs,
favorite songwriters.
Yeah, and I would put Glenn right there with Will,
Yeah.
And obviously, we talk about Thor, but Thor was a rising musician before this,
right?
Going back to high school, a local legend. But those are three that come to my mind, and also Will Evans. So there's four. Will is originally from the Connecticut area, but now lives locally. Yeah.
So we plan to have Glenn. Ben has said he's going to be able to get Glenn on the show. Plan to have Glenn on the show.
Yep.
We'll see if we get Will on the show.
Yep.
Thor's already said he'd be on the show. I mean, it's going to be good, people.
That's
going to
all,
be good.
I have spoken to all three of those people on previous podcasts.
Yes.
They were all excellent interviews.
Yes. Don't tell them I picked a favorite.
I will. I'll send them the episode before we do it.
And kind of going back a little bit to the open mic thing for even more experienced musicians. First of all, I go down there often to. I can't now because my Mondays have changed, but to open up on the open mic. But I used to always go down to the open mic. I used to call it my laboratory. I'd have a new song, and I want to try it out, and I bring it down to the open mic and just see how it would go across, and I could hear what it sounds like, through a sound system and stuff like that. Some were good, some not so much. But it was better to try it out there than at a regular old, thing.
Right.
Yeah. It was.
Definitely. So I have one more question for you on a personal level. I know that you have a lot of like little projects that you do now.
Yes.
Bands that you that you play with, little groups that you play with, friends that you sit in with, constantly. What one, if there is one or a handful of them, is most enjoyable to you? Like, what gives you the juice? You know what I mean? Like, what gives you that feeling? What satiates you?
I hate to tell you what you just described. Nothing. I don't think, possibly the rest of my life, nothing like performing with Wheelhouse, which is on hiatus now. We may never do it again because Amy cut back the amount of music she was doing. So I have a couple trios, and I also, in the past year, for the first time in my life, am performing solo and pushing myself to do it. It's the hardest thing to do. It surprises people. But just to be yourself on a stool with a crowd of people. And I'm doing it to challenge myself. I'm pushing myself, and I'm really finding it rewarding because I'm learning many songs, and I'm playing my acoustic guitar more than ever because, I was a big electric guitar player. So it's hard for me to pick the small acts that I'm in right now a favorite. They're each a little bit different. Yeah, I love them all. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the solo thing is, when you're playing solo, you have to be on it every minute. If you're playing just as an example, let's just say me and Gene were playing together, and I was doing a song, I do a verse and a chorus, and then I just look over him and say, and he takes a break on his electric guitar. Well, while he's taking a break, I can kind of catch my breath a little bit, it's not a whole break, but it's a little bit of one. But when you're solo, you got to be on every single minute.
I'd also like to make this philosophical comment, if I can. Do I have a minute?
Yeah, okay. You have as much time as you want.
In the music arena, you have a whole spectrum of how people feel. Now, there are the hardcore musicians that literally look down their nose at people that play covers.
Right.
I am not of that ilk. I think what's missing when we get that serious and we start to divide the music community where I'm the serious original artist and I don't do a cover at all. How dare I? And then there's people that only do covers, because they've never been writing a song. In the end, I try to feel that music, let us never forget, is something we're giving to an audience and entertaining. So I would never demean the guy that plays cover songs because he's making people happy that evening. He's playing a song they want to sing to. So I don't come out of that school as this musician, although I am in awe of great original writing, that ever judges the guy that only plays covers. When I do my solo stuff, I'm only playing covers, But I'm really choosy about them. My mantra is I only play songs that I love and believe in. I believe in the song. So there are songs I won't play, no matter how much people want them. Yeah. But I just think that's an interesting thing because that debate and that kind of snarkiness goes on a lot, and it's all giving, whether it's cover or original. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes people, original. If you listen to an original song you ever heard, you get people. Sometimes people just don't want to think about it.
Well, you can't.
They just want, they're out and they're talking with their friends and having a couple of drinks. They don't want to think about it.
You can't entertain for 3 hours on all originals. Except, I will say this: there are rarities, and that's the it. You see, that's what a Glenn Kensier can do and a Will Houlihan. Their songwriting is so good.
Sandy Allen, another good
Yeah,
songwriter.
exactly. How could I forget about Sandy? I almost want to apologize to the universe, because if I think of anybody in this community, in a post, I used to write a lot of personal posts about the music right from my heart. And one time I just called him the Gandalf of local music. And he really is.
He is.
To
That's
talk
perfect.
to him and his history and his story, he's an immense talent. Yeah. So, yeah.
God, and I just...
But there are a few that can do that, Doug, that
Yeah.
can perform a whole evening with that much. That tells you the great songwriters, that their songs are that good,
And the other thing about Sandy Allen, hope you hear this, Sandy. I agree from the heart. It's like great musicians know their role.
Yes.
And Sandy Allen knows his role perfectly. And when you really see it is when he's playing lap steel and stuff like that.
Oof.
That he just knows when to come in and how loud to be, and when somebody else is doing it to cut it back. And I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm not great, but a really good musician knows when
It's about the spaces as well as the notes.
and letting the other guy, do. And again, one of the great, you want to see two great musicians interacting together. Watch Thor Jensen and Craig Edwards kind of do the call and response stuff.
Sure.
And they both know their spots, and it's something to see.
Yeah.
Cool. Any more philosophy? Mr. Philosophy? We love philosophy.
Yeah. If I went back to college, I'd probably minor in it.
So, for future, we're going to have Gene back at some point. I hadn't even told him, but I want him to come back.
Don't forget the Bloody Marys.
Yep, Bloody Marys.
Yeah. And the poached eggs. So.
Poached eggs. What we're going to have him come back for, because he's one of the best ones I know, is for guitar amplifier tone, because it's a mystery to me. But he gets it. He knows how to.
Not as much as others do.
But he knows how to make an electric guitar sound like like Jimi Hendrix, or there's all different sounds, and there's all these knobs on my amplifier which I can never figure out. But he's good at it, and all the little gadgets and if you ever see an electric guitar, underneath their feet there's all these little boxes. They're pressing buttons and what they do. Uh-oh.
Nice.
Technical
That's a
difficulty.
glitch.
That's not a technical difficulty or a glitch. Doug just straight up knocked his microphone over.
Little comic relief.
That being said, that episode will be fun. I will either have 0 questions or all the questions for that one. If you would come back for that. Doug, do you have any other?
Not really. I mean, I guess we didn't say for our show schedule, we're planning to do 20 to 30 minutes every couple of weeks to start out with the goal of getting up to every week. And
Doug, just point the mic at your face if you're going to hold it.
That's it.
we're still working through this technical difficulty. Microphones are on the floor and everything else, but we're getting there. We'll be fine. I have to say to our producer that the setup they gave me was a little bit rickety to start with. So every couple weeks, again, Ben, why don't you do all the contact information where people can listen?
Okay, well, first, Gene, where can you just go through where people can find you once again?
My sort of umbrella name for my Facebook page and my business page and my email is Kozmik Riffs, but spelled KOZMIKRIFFS. That's on Facebook. There's a page and a personal page, and then also that's my email, cosmicriffs@gmail.com.
Awesome.
Also, one other thing, anybody that goes to the Perks and Corks website, there's always a contact page. Musicians go there, they write, I'm interested in playing music. All email from Perks and Corks contact website comes to me. So, also.
Awesome. Good to know. And if you'd like to contact the show, if you'd like to be a guest or you'd like to be a sponsor for the show, you can find all of that stuff at, you can email us at b440productions@gmail.com. That's b440productions@gmail.com. And You can find this show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Libsyn, Stitcher, anywhere where podcasts can be found. You can find this, and you can like it. Doug's Open Mic on Facebook, and that also has a weird spelling, DUG, which is kind of Doug's calling card for himself. So that's it, Doug. If you want to send us out. Just point the mic at your mouth.
All right.
You could have put it back on the stand.
No, I don't trust that thing anymore. Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.